Chapter 7, The Overutilization of Labor Compounded by Unpredicted Capital Growth. It was raining. This was the first day all summer it had rained hard enough to stop work. It was now July, and I'd ridden my 10-speed, yes, my old one, though I had bought a new inner tube, over to Arnold's house. Arnold had made the hippie tea that was sweet without sugar, and I sipped it while we dragged out the notebooks. I had left all the paperwork at his house because it would have been too hard to try to explain to my parents. There were now 5 3-ring binders, and in fact, I knew almost nothing about it myself. It had all kind of been a blur. It's all just too groovy, Arnold said, putting his tea down. Free market industry and capitalism at their best. It's like watching a really good documentary about business. Far out. I don't know what we're doing, I said. Not a clue, except that we're cutting a lot of grass, and I'm not getting much sleep. And this morning my mother said she was forgetting what I look like. It's lucky we got a rain day. We were in Arnold's screened-in porch, and he had spread the notebooks out on a large brown picnic table. It gives us a little time for you to catch up and see the beauty of what you're doing. The rain was hammering down, almost deafening, and I found myself liking it. I used to hate rain in the summer because it ruined vacation time. Now I thought the rain was beautiful. We'd better start with an overall view of the lawn cutting phase of your operation. Oh yes, I thought. Let's start with that. Like I knew anything. Like I would have an operation with phases. Currently you have 15 employees. I stared at him. That can't be right. He nodded, smiling. Surprising, isn't it? Technically, I guess Pascal is more of a partner, and really, they are all partners in a way. They share the income from their work with you, the company head. 15? He nodded again. Now, the truth is, they earn their living because you found them work, and that brings up a second consideration of this phase of your operation. 15 people work for me? I wished he would quit talking about my operation and its phases. It was starting to sound like General Motors or something. Yes, that should lead you to consider your responsibility as the business head. You owe your employees that consideration. Well, sure, if there's 15 people working for me, I should consider them. But I don't know what you mean specifically. Well, think of this. They're seasonal workers. When the cutting is done and they're no longer employed by you, a responsible employer should set aside some of his income, a percentage, to give them a bonus when the season ends to ease their transition into other forms of employment. I should? Yes, I guess I should. How does that work? Well, first let's look at your personal gross income from lawn cutting, shall we? It's really the only figure that comes for this aspect of your operation. Of course, aspect, I thought. First phases, now aspects. Of my operation. I'm 12 years old and I have aspects? Well, for reasons we'll cover later, taxes are going to take a hefty bite, and you'll have some small expenses, gas for your mower, oil, that sort of thing. I kept track of those items in this expense notebook. Then there's my fee. I'm taking 5% across the board for this, and the market work, just to simplify things, rather than to work on a sliding scale. All right? Oh my, yes, I thought. Let's keep it simple. I felt like I was drowning in aspects and faces. Good. I guess it is good. Sure, good. So before taxes, my percentage and expenses, you grossed out at just over 8. 8 what? $8,000. $8,000? Yes, of course, like I said, that's gross, and your net won't be anywhere near that. But I think you should perhaps set aside a pretty good chunk for employee relief, perhaps 20%. At this stage, naturally, that will go up as they earn more. They appreciate it when the season ends. I had this sudden memory of when I was 9 years old. Back then, I thought that someday I might be a professional basketball player. This in spite of the fact that I'm fairly short and I can't make a basket to save my life. But I thought when I was 9 that if I just had the right ball, a true professional ball made by Spalding, I would/could be good enough to be a professional player when I grew up. The problem was that the ball was expensive. There was no way my parents could spend that kind of money on one measly basketball, and I couldn't find a way to get enough money on my own. So I wound up with a cheap ball, and I thought no chance at a professional basketball career. How many balls could I buy with $8,000? $8,000. I was only 3 years older now than I had been then. True, it was a big 3 years, but after just 3 years, I could afford all the Spalding basketballs I wanted. I was rich. Rich. What a strange word that was. It didn't really mean anything in itself. Rich, short for Richard? Why does rich mean having tons of money? How many Spalding balls could I buy really with $8,000? Say they're $20 each to make it simple. 5 balls for $100, 50 for $1,000, 400. I could buy 400 Spalding basketballs. What do you mean? I suddenly remembered something Arnold had said. You said about this being a small amount of money. Is that what you said? I don't know what you're used to having, but I can't think of $8,000 as a small amount. Everything, Arnold said, it's relative. Taken in the whole scheme of things, $8,000, though significant, is not all that large. If Bill Gates, who owns Microsoft, for instance, could hold all of his wealth in his hands and he suddenly dropped it just on the way to the ground, it would make over $40,000 in interest. Huh? I tried to picture that. Look, I understand that I don't have as much money as Bill Gates. Still, I'm very satisfied with what I have. I honestly don't know what I would do with more money than that. Seriously. Absolutely. It's more money than I could even think of having. It wasn't that long ago that I was wondering where to get enough money to buy an inner tube for my 10-speed. Now I could buy a whole new bike. I could buy a bunch of them. Well then, Arnold shrugged and sighed. We have a bit of a problem.